Hello everyone, Jeannie here, and welcome back to my channel, the place where you get bookish love and a whole lot of random. In today's video, I'm going to have a little chit chat with you on all the books I read in April. In case I sound like a duck to you, yeah, I know, quack quack, right?
You're despicable.
I kind of have like this cold going on, so just bear with me. And if I don't, well, I guess we could throw that out the window. Oops. This month, I was able to read a horror book, a personal development book, and a fantasy/gothic book. So if you're interested in finding out my thoughts on these books, well, stick around and grab your cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like to drink. And let's dive into these books that I read in April. The first book that I'm going to dive into is Imaginary Friend by Stefan. I don't know if he pronounces it as Stefan or Stephen, you know, like Stephen King. But hey, it's either one. You take your pick. Mr. Chbosky, take your pick. By Stefan Chbosky. I was able to take a journey with Kate, a single mom who flees from an abusive relationship in the hopes of improving life for herself and her son Christopher. They find themselves drawn to the tight-knit community of Mill Grove, Pennsylvania. This seemed like the perfect place until Christopher disappears for 6 days. Christopher comes back and he's not the same. There's this voice in his head that's telling him that he has a mission he has to complete. So the mission is that he has to build a tree house before Christmas, or else his mom and everybody in that town is gonna get it. Yes, guys, a tree house. You heard it right. But when you read the book, you'll understand why. So now for the trigger warnings. There is alcohol abuse, child abuse, parent death, death of a child, domestic abuse, fertility issues, sexual assault, murder, stabbing, substance abuse, suicide, and of course, violence. Because what would a horror book be without violence? So this book took me on this wild ride and I loved every moment of it. I didn't even realize that this was a 700 plus page book because I was so entertained the whole way through. I'm not gonna lie though, in the beginning it was kind of like blah 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 blah.
Okay, so you know what I just heard? Blah 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 blah.
But then once it hit, like, I believe it was maybe like the 200, 300 page mark, things started getting crazy and picking up. And from that moment on, it was like full throttle from there. Chbosky gave me all the elements I love, crave, and look for in horror. It was eerie, mysterious, thrilling, atmospheric, and so creepy. Like, guys, you don't understand. This book was like creepy, okay? It had all the themes that you find in most horrors, but yet it was unique in its own way. The author was also able to keep me invested in Kate and Christopher as characters. For me, it's all about the characters. Like, when it comes to horror, it's like you have to build that up. And I felt like Chbosky did a very good job of that. I can see why this is pitched to fans of Stephen King. It gives off 90s vibes that has a group of friends battling an evil entity. Sound familiar, right?
Hiya, Georgie.
It definitely did that to me, which is why it appealed to me in the first place. So guys, I actually gave this one 5 stars. Yes, 5 whole stars. I'm just so glad that I was able to read this one with my patrons because this was a book that we read together in my Patreon book club. This will definitely be a memorable and unique book to me. Just an ending note, if you decide to pick this one up, make sure that you leave your lights on And you don't read this while home alone because you just might hear a hiss. So another book that I read in April is How Successful People Win by John C. Maxwell. In this one, Maxwell provides a roadmap for turning a setback into a step forward. He believes that with the right tools and mindset, you can turn a loss into a gain. For most personal development books, they're not anything different from the others within the same genre. However, there's something about the way that Maxwell structured and delivered his message that served his purpose as a reminder to how I can improve. And Maxwell is pretty well known for his books on like business and leadership. However, this kind of felt more to me like a book of quotes or a book of words of encouragement or something to that effect. He shares stories and quotes. Like, this book has so many quotes that you can pull from it that focus on the fundamentals that we need in order to succeed. The other topics he addressed that I really enjoyed was the one on failures and to be teachable.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
He was constantly throwing out these reminders that we shouldn't be dwelling on our failures, but using them as a tool to learn and grow from. He also stated that we need to stop listening to negative things that people tell us, and most importantly, the ones that we tell ourselves. And instead, we need to start zooming in on the positive, whether it's big or small. This book is also great for anyone that, like me, has those moments where you kind of like feel defeated and need like that quick pick-me-up to inspire and motivate you to just keep going. What I loved about it is that it was short and very much straight to the point. And this is definitely something that I would recommend to somebody that's, trying to start off in this genre. And maybe even somebody like me that has read a few books within this genre as well. Because, it's quick, so why not, right?
Meep, meep.
Okay, so just a few quotes that I pulled from this that I wanted to share that really spoke to me. The first one is, the most important person you ever talk to is yourself. So be careful what you say. The most important person you will evaluate is yourself. So be careful what you think. The most important person you will love is yourself. So be careful what you do. Excuse me. Yes. I need to write that on in front of my desk. Yes, we need that. And another one is, a person who cannot sacrifice will never belong to himself. He belongs to whatever he was unwilling to give up. And the last quote I wanted to share is, the good times we put in our pocket, the bad times we put in our hearts. And that's by Les Brown. So I was just about to leave off without the rating. So for this one, I gave it 4 stars because, it was good and I really enjoyed it. So the last book I was able to read in April, and don't go anywhere, okay? Make it all the way to the end. I need that watch time. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. So the last book I was able to read not this month, but in April, is Gallant by Ve Schwab. So in this one, I met Olivia Pryor, who happens to be a nonverbal girl who grew up in an orphanage. And the only thing that she kind of has left of her past is her mother's journal. Until one day, a letter invites Olivia to come home. And that place that they call home is Gallant. So now the thing is that Olivia always wanted to belong somewhere, right? But will she take her place as a Pryor, protecting our world from the master of the house? Or will she take her place right beside him? So some trigger warnings that I found in this was abandonment, animal death, bullying, death of a parent, grief, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. So V. Schwab's writing just never disappoints me. Like, her writing is so lyrical and eloquently filled with these beautiful descriptions. Schwab was able to bring me to this dark and eerie and atmospheric place, which had me captivated and intrigued from the beginning. And I really enjoyed meeting Olivia. I love that she was a non-verbal character who uses sign language in order to communicate. And I felt that Olivia was a pretty cool character because she was able to see ghouls. Like, who doesn't want to see ghouls? She was definitely a brave character as well, despite her disability. And I really love that. And the way Olivia is described, it kind of reminded me of Wednesday Addams. And to be honest, that's all I pictured as I was reading this.
What if you met just the right man who worshipped and adored you?
I'd pity him.
I also wanted to point out that the illustrations, the book format, and the font style on certain pages made this reading experience so much more immersive. And I felt that that was like such a nice touch to it. So just to show you some illustrations, let me grab Gallant real quickly. Okay, I have Gallant. And first of all, can we just admire these end pages? Like, what? It kind of reminds me of like those psychology type things where you kind of like have to say like what those pictures are. Like, what do you see in those pictures? That's what it reminded me of. And you see how like the font is different here. Like, come on. Yes, we love that. It's just everything. I really loved that little, you know, those little add-ons to the book. I loved it. I loved it. So my main gripes with this is that it was slow paced and pretty predictable. The ending kind of like, for me, it seemed rushed, and it also left me confused. And although Schwab said that it fits into multiple age ranges, but I kind of felt like it was more so a middle grade. The only thing that didn't make it so full-blown middle grade maybe is that it was like really, really dark. But then I don't know, because I think there's middle grade out there that's really, really dark. It really reminded me a lot of Coraline, you know, but with little hints of V. Schwabness, I guess. So with all of that, I gave this 4 stars. Would I say to read Gallant? Yes. Especially if you're a fan of like a Coraline-esque story.
Hello, Coraline.
That takes place in a gothic mansion full of paranormal activity and filled with dark, eerie magic, then this is definitely something that you should pick up. So guys, these are all the books that I read in April, and I'm very interested in knowing like what books you read in April. If you read any of these, comment down below. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about it. That's the same thing. And if you really enjoyed this video or my videos in general, please give it a like. And if you're not, subscribe to my channel. This way you don't miss a video with me. If you'd like to support my channel further, I do have a Patreon. It's called The Shadow Fold, and we do a lot of fun things in there. We have a book club. We have a private Discord server. There's some readathons, exclusive content for you, and yeah, all the fun things. There's a lot more, but then that list will be too long. So it's always linked down below. So if you want to join, check it out. And if you reach the very end to this video, first of all, mwah for you. And secondly, leave a devil emoji down below or a ghost one. You choose whichever one. Check out this video first so you'll be ready for my May wrap up. And as usual, guys, always remember to sprinkle a little love and kindness everywhere you go. I love you guys so much and thank you so much for your support. And see you in my next video. Bye.